Congressman Anthony Brindisi. I know you sat through that. You heard. Do you want to make any comments?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Look, I think that teachers are going through a very difficult time right now, as we all are, but certainly trying to adapt to online learning, getting your students to adapt to online learning. This is not an easy time for our teachers, and they certainly deserve the respect that they are owed. And I'm very thankful for what they're going through right now and how they're trying to provide a quality education still to our students, even in this difficult time when they have to do it virtually. So, my heart goes out to that teacher. We all got to just take a step back and have a little more appreciation for each other and the hardships that we're all going through. It's not easy, and we just got to take a step back here.
Yeah, somehow, I don't know how we got to this point, that the assumption is that all of these teachers want this. And I can clearly tell you, you don't have to be the husband of a teacher to know that this is brutal. And it is not easy, and it is frustrating. And the easiest thing in the world for them would be as if every kid was back in school right now. They could go back to the platform they're used to. So,
yeah, look, my wife's a teacher. I've seen the amount of prep time that she has had to do this time as opposed to when they do in-class learning.
Yeah,
I'm watching my kids as they're on these Google Classroom calls. And it's not easy. It's teachers are doing the best they can. We all have to have a little bit of patience as we all adapt to this, and it's stressful. It is stressful on parents. It's stressful on teachers. But let's have a little bit of civility here, and let's work with each other to try and get through this together.
All right. I want to ask you, and then we'll take a couple of phone calls, 315-736-0186. Congressman, I want to ask your thoughts, as long as we're talking about COVID. Nancy Pelosi saying everybody's going to have to stick around until the deal is cut. It seems like the House and the Senate are very, very far apart. What are your thoughts? Do you think there is a chance of some sort of compromise sometime in the near future?
I do think there's a chance, and that's why I'm a member of this Problem Solvers Caucus, which is the only bipartisan caucus in the House. It's 25 Democrats, 25 Republicans. And this week, we released our plan for the next COVID relief package, where we basically did something that and we put out a plan that provides more funding for healthcare and testing, more funding for state and local governments, unemployment assistance, more business loans, more PPP, another round of PPP. And if you can get 50 Democrats and Republicans to agree on something, I think that deserves some merit. And that's what we've been working on for the last couple of weeks here, not waiting for leadership or the White House to come together on some kind of a package, but getting rank-and-file members, moderates on both sides together and come up with our own framework, which we released this past week.
Talk about the letter, and I probably should have gone into this when we were talking about education, but the letter that you sent to the Education Secretary.
Well, that's the other thing, too, when we talk about adding more stress into the classroom and adding more stress on parents and teachers. The Secretary DeVos, who I think is the worst education secretary we have ever seen in the history of this country, is forcing these standardized tests to continue to go on this year, despite the disruption in learning that we have seen. How do you expect students to be able to perform on a standardized test, or teachers to be able to get these students to perform to the level that they need to, when you're having all these issues with remote learning? They should forego these tests. It's premature for her to make this, for DeVos to make these decisions now. Let's suspend those standardized tests. They don't need. The last thing we need in the classroom right now is another government-funded mandate on top of the stress that's already happening across our school districts.
I want to ask about the dueling commercials. Somewhere in this whole thing, we ended up with two Cheryl Manufacturing commercials. One that is in support of you, and one that is in support of your opponent. Your thoughts on that? Of course, there's founders of Sherrill Manufacturing is kind of how that whole thing happened.
Well, Sherrill Manufacturing is a great company. It's a great American company. It's a success story. What they have been able to do with the old Oneida Limited factory and really turn that into America's only flatware manufacturer, I think, is a story that needs to be told more. And it's a way that we can show American manufacturing is alive and strong. And that's why I was very proud to get the Spoons Act passed so they can become the supplier to the military of flat. You're purchasing flatware.
You're cutting out there just about. Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Got you now.
No, there's certainly no reason why the military should be purchasing flatware from Chinese companies when we have a great American company here that's doing it. So I'm very proud of Sherrill Manufacturing. I'm proud that we were able to get the bill done for them so they can purchase, so they can sell their flatware to the military. And I'll continue to work with them to make sure that the Department of Defense follows through on that commitment.
Claudia Tenney, when we spoke with her last, kind of hinted that maybe they were tricked into doing the commercial for you. We did ask that question of Sherrill Manufacturing, and they said that was basically not true. Your thoughts on that accusation?
Well, she is running a campaign full of lies and accusations. But at the end of the day, her misleading people, her name calling, all of this, it's really what the swamp is. And people in our district, in our community, are sick and tired of the lies. They're sick and tired of the nasty attacks. What they're worried about is, how are we going to put food on the table right now? I'm out of work. How am I going to afford my prescription drugs? What are your plans to lower drug prices? Are we going to get another stimulus package done? How do I get my kid to be able to learn remotely? There's a lot of stress that's happening out in our community right now, and people deserve to know where we stand on the issues. That's why I'm trying to present what I've done as a representative for the last 2 years, what I would like to do moving forward here, and not go into the name-calling as my opponent has chosen to do, not lie to people as my opponent consistently does. We have to have a campaign based on issues and based on facts. And that's what I'm going to run.
What are the issues you believe Claudia Tenney's lying about?
Well, where do you want to start? Defunding the police. She's running commercials saying I'm defunding the police. Nothing is further from the truth there. And you can see the ad that we ran with Sheriff Mayshell saying that over my career in both the state legislature and in Congress, I've always been a supporter of law enforcement. And in fact, quite the opposite. I'm the lead sponsor of a bill to prevent cities and counties and states from defunding police departments. So there's one example for you.
She said that was part of the bill that you did sign would have prevented military-grade equipment that the government didn't need anymore, the military didn't need anymore. It would prevent that stuff from filtering and trickling down to local police agencies. Can you talk about that a little bit?
That's not true. The Fraternal Order of Police, which is the largest police union in the country, said that they were, quote, heartened by the bill that I voted for that passed on a bipartisan basis through the House. So do you think if the largest police union would say they were heartened by the bill if it was so awful to police departments?
Yeah. Okay.
It's interesting too, and when we asked Claudia yesterday, she said something about like first aid supplies and things, and I just can't imagine. Yeah, go ahead.
It's not. Look, is there provisions in there that talk about military equipment? Absolutely, but there's no way that it's going to prevent the sale. It helps, especially if you have issues. You use that stuff for natural disasters or other things. You don't want to have tanks running through our. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep,
yes.
We got you.
Okay. You don't want to have tanks running through our streets, but for natural disasters and other types of events where you need to have that equipment, it's not going to limit any of that.
Ann you want to follow up on that?
No.
Ann has been waiting for a while in Rome. I want to bring her in. Ann, your weekly question with Anthony Brindisi.
Thank you right off the top for even taking it. This is an opinion on Kamala Harris. She's calling the president a predator, yet she's running with somebody that she went up against and said, you know, when he had these allegations of these women, which no one's ever heard from again, that she thought we should hear from. She's never brought them forward, so defending women's one thing. She proved that again with Mr. Blake, who assaulted a woman. She never went to check on this woman. I'm not saying what happened to Mr. Blake was right, but she also did not go to see the police officers, the sheriffs in California that she represents. You know, I have an issue with you're one-sided. You say one thing about defending women, yet there's two instances where she didn't. She doesn't come to back up the police officers who were shot. And actually, to me, that's a hate crime. I just want to say one thing,
okay.
And I want your opinion, please. You're not going to stand behind the police. Stand in front of them. Thank you. I just like your opinion. Thank you for taking my call.
Okay. Do you have, I don't know, Ann, where you were going there. It seemed more like a statement, to be fair, but do you have can you comment on that?
I don't have an opinion. Look, I'm not going to play national pundit. You know, people can choose who they want for their next president. I'll tell you this, as I've done over the last 2 years, getting 4 bills signed into law by President Trump, being one of the most bipartisan members in Congress, whether it's a Trump administration or a Biden administration, I'm going to work with either one and work just as hard for this district.
All right, let me 315-736-0186, although I'm running short on time, folks. Paul in Oriskany Falls, you're on with the Congressman. Good morning.
Yes, hi, Mr. Brindisi. My concern with you, and it would be with any Democrat, is the fact that your party has lurched so far left. It's in the Marxism, communism territory. You know, you can laugh, or maybe people can laugh, but look at what your party is supporting. And I'm afraid that if the House is maintained by the Democrats, I mean, yeah, you're allowed to stray once in a while. And I think personally you seem to be a very nice guy, and I think you're probably trying to do the best. I wouldn't say probably. You're trying to do the best you can for your area. But the bottom line is you're running as a Democrat, and your party is whacked right now.
Paul, I hate to do this to you, but I have Fox News straight ahead in 60 seconds, so I want to give.
I understand.
I want to give the congressman a chance to respond to that. Thanks, Paul. Anthony, are you being lumped in with the party, and it's inevitable? It's going to happen. How do you respond to that?
Look, I would say that the biggest problem that we have in politics today is not Democrat versus Republican. It's not even liberal versus conservative. The problem that we have are the extremes, the extreme left and the extreme right, and versus the people in the middle. And I'm always someone who's going to be in the middle. I want people to judge me by that and what I've done for the area, not anything else.